Okay, right guys, so I'm going to run through a bit of sort of rigging how-to for you here. There's a few things that I'd kind of like to just explain first of all. I think when you're using Maya a lot, and you're going to, whoever's animating this beast is going to be using it quite a lot, you'll find that as I'm sure that you're aware, when you're trying to pan around the screen here, you need to hold down Alt and then use your pen or your mouse. I quite like using a pen, so I'd recommend that. But if you're holding down Alt at the same time, where you should have your fingers on Q, W, and R, it's really tucked underneath your hand, so it's really awkward. So there's a little thing here which I'll show you. It's a auto hotkey script. So basically, if I activate that script now, it'll tell the computer to. Let me just make sure it works. Woo. There we go. Okay, so. Basically, it tells the computer to swap Alt and Spacebar. So if I now hold down Spacebar and move like that, and it only works in Maya, so even when you're typing and all that kind of stuff, it's fine. It's a clever little script, dead easy to do. It's a tiny little script. I'll send you the link to that if you're interested. So now that we're all comfortable and sort of happy, nice relaxed hand, let me run through a bit of rigging for you. Rigging, frankly, is, I'm just going to make a little model here. Rigging, frankly, is a real beast of a thing. Unless you are dead keen on it, I wouldn't recommend that you try to necessarily spend a huge amount of time trying to rig a character via tutorials and such. By all means do that, and you can get certain sort of headway into it. The only difficulty though is that because it's really shockingly complicated and there's all sorts of different things that can go wrong. I'm going to show you kind of the basics of how rigging works, and then I'll show you a good system for rigging characters in a bulletproof fashion. Okay, so first of all, you can see I've just got 3 objects here, really straightforward stuff. That's just going to give me a leg sort of example. Nice big knee there. Okay, so your rigging is this is your shelf obviously, and this is to make your joints. So first of all, you click that to activate your joints, and you can see that's activated. And then you want to make sure that this one up here is selected. So if I just hover over that, it should say, there you go, snap to projected center. And what that'll do is it will put the bones right in the middle of the geometry. If you didn't have that, you would find that, let me just show you the joints there. You find that if you're like trying to hit a bone here and then you spin it around, it's actually gone way over here somewhere. So you really need to get that sensitive geometry onto it. Okay, so I've got a series of bones here. Okay, and what we're going to do is make an IK chain. So I'm sure you're kind of aware what that is. If you were to take like 6 bones down an arm and a finger, if you collect the first one and then move it, everything else descends in that chain, or everything reacts in that chain. So that's your inverse kinematics. So here we've just got simple 3 joint structure, and if I now come over here, you see if I hover over that, it's the IK handle creator. Okay, so I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click whereabouts I want the IK handle to be, down there, and then I'm going to click the last one in the chain up there, and then it's created the IK. Okay, so you'll see now if I take that IK handle, which is this one here that's just been created, and do that, you can see it's bending nicely in, not necessarily in the orientation that we want it. Let's have a look at that. That's interesting. Okay, so it's obviously sort of gone at an odd angle. Let me just see if I can rotate any of this. Let me just put that into, I think the thing that you do is go into set preferred angle. So let's just see if I can bosh that into something that's going to be workable. Sometimes it just automatically does it perfectly. For some reason that one didn't work. So let's just try that. Okay, so let's just come off that and go back onto the IK handle. And there we go. Okay, so that's going in exactly the right direction for the knee that we want. So all you need to do now is skin it into it. So I'm just going to push that back down. Ideally, I mean, I'll get into this, when you are making a sort of a knee and a leg, the set preferred angle works much better if there is actually an angle in there. So I think I had it set all the way down, which is kind of where it's bombed out a little bit. When we do the actual character, you'll see that I'll set the joints there as they should be. So that's fine, and then to skin it to the object, what you need to do is select the joints and the geometry. Shift. There we go. So we've got joints and geometry, and then you need to be on the modeling tab, and then you go to no, you don't, sorry, you need to be on the rigging tab, and then you go to skin, bind skin. And if we now go onto the IK handle, you'll find that there you go, you get a leg that's sort of bending however it does. So that's the nature of how you do it. Okay. Now I tend to not end up rigging fully sort of fledged characters, because it just, you spend months trying to work out this thing. I tend to do it just for simple things like like props, assets, that kind of thing. So you'll find that you can kind of like quite quickly sort of take an object and then figure out, okay, where do I want the bones to be that's going to distort this in the right fashion. And then you need a global control for it so that you can scale it and move it and it all works properly. The best way to do it's kind of complicated, and I can sort of go through how to do something like that if you want to, but at the minute I'm just going to show you how to do a simple character. You can see here I've got a sort of series of joints that run in a chain, literally sort of parented into each other, which is exactly what you want if you're going to be taking your character into Unreal. The system that I'll show you, it does do that, which is great. And what that allows you to do is basically to get it into Unreal. If that's what you're using, you might actually not even be using that. Anyway, it's a very useful system. So that's the basics of it. So let's just take actually there's one more thing. Let me just show you one more thing, because when you are animating you don't want to see any of this stuff, and you certainly don't want to be like trying to find this thing in the outliner. So I'm sure you're aware of the rigs. You have these NURBS curves that circle around things for the controllers. So I'll show you how to make one of those. So first of all, I'm just going to take that IK controller and sort of drop it back down to something which was like what it was in the beginning. In fact, I should probably just zero that out like so. Okay, and so to make one of those controllers, what we do is we use the NURBS. So we go onto curves and surfaces and a circular NURB like so, and let's just see where that is. It's not in a bad position, but I think for a foot controller probably want it to be down further, and you can change the shape of these things by going into the vertex points and that kind of thing if you really want to. I'll make that a little bit bigger, and then basically you just need to parent it to the IK handle. Okay, so I think I take the IK handle and then a NURBS curve and hit P, and what should happen is I select that, and there we go. Yeah, and so now what you can do obviously is take off the X-ray joints, so you've just got your rig and your controller. So that's the basic of it. Let me just go back a couple of steps, because there's something that I really need to show you. Okay, before I sort of parent that together, let's just see if that's separated now. It is, yeah. Okay, when you're making these controllers, you really want to make sure, and this is really important, that it doesn't have junk translations and rotations and all that kind of thing on it. Okay, so basically, I'm going to take all of that. Actually, I have to show you how to do it properly. So first of all, you want to go to Edit, Delete All by Type History, and that takes out all the junk that you've already done. Okay, just gives you a nice clean slate, everything in this position, nothing happened in the past, no problems. Then what you want to do is take your controller and it's called freeze it, or freeze transformations. So you can modify freeze transformations, and you can see that just takes it back to its perfect version state. Okay, and then you can attach it to your IK handle. Yeah, and you'll know that when you zero that out in the future, zero it all out, it's going to go back to the original place. Otherwise you've got all sorts of problems, and when they start to interact with each other, you've got a whole minefield of stuff going on. Okay, so that's that. Ooh, hello. Right, I should delete that. I don't need that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is try and import in this character. File import, and let's go to documents download. Come on, David. What am I doing? Oh, where are my downloads? Oh, there we go. Downloads. That's the one, Remy. Okay, so I mean, there's different options on the site here. If you go to download, you get all sorts of options. I just chose the first one, which is like the binary FBX. So I think that's what I've used before. I'm sure that'll be fine. So he's a big boy, and I'm going to let me just take out some of this stuff because you don't really want it. I'll get rid of that and see what we've got here. Whew. Okay, right. So we've got a big bunch of, let's see what's going on here. So this is a rig that's already come in. You know, and we could probably create controllers on the back end of these things here and do that, but I don't think that's going to be exactly what we want. So I'm going to get rid of that, and so I'm just looking at this. It's interesting in the sense that they don't look like geometry. It just looks like let me just pan out and have a look. No, I think they're controllers of some sort, I'm not quite sure. I think it's part of the rig. Anyway, so you can see the way they grayed out, so let's just see. I think this is just the rig. Yeah, okay, so we don't need to bother with any of... Yeah, we don't need to bother with any of the stuff underneath there. Okay, so the system that I use is called Advanced Skeleton. It's well used by all sorts of different sort of studios and people and stuff, so let me just sort of show you that. Let's get a new tab, and what do I want? Next doing it's that one there. Okay, so it's Animation Studios. There you go, Advanced Skeleton is the name of it. So you just click that one there, and then this downloads page. There you go, download. I think I'm doing that one there, rather than the latest version. Anyway, you know, whatever works for you. So you download that and then drag the installation thing into your folder here, and you end up with a you know, the buttons on the shelf here. So that's the one that we want. Let me just deselect that. Okay, so there's a couple of things which are great here actually. I mean, this thing here is a picker, and so when you've rigged up your character, let's say for instance you just, you know, you're moving around the screen and you're animating him quite widely, you can just tick these things here, okay, and that will select the controllers that they refer to. So it's a really nice handy little picker. I think that's one of the great things of this system. Okay, so first of all I'm going to take the mesh, and I'm going to go to model clean. You can see it's asking me to create a top level group called Geo, so that's the way that it sort of works. Let's do that. That was interesting. It seems to have given me some sort of strange thing there, but anyway, that's fine. So let's just press clean, and I'm just going to go back onto. Actually, let's just have that. I don't want top. I don't want top on perspective. Okay. So that's got what we want, and now I'm going to go to. You can see it's got various things here. You don't really need a rig file. You don't really need to reference in the model. I'll quickly explain it. Referencing the model is just a case of having the model as a blueprint, and then you can reference it into different scenes. So if you're doing lots of different animations, lots of different scenes, lots of different files, and then you want to change all of them. You know, you want to change like the top or his hair or something like that. If you're referencing in, you just change the original. Okay, so it's, you know, it's well used in the industry, and it does make your file sizes a lot less, which is quite useful as well. But we don't need to do that. So I'm going to go to fit, and I'm going to import biped, and you can see that it's a damn sight smaller than what we've got in a minute, which is not a problem. So let's just go down here and have a look, see where it is. Ideally, probably should have made this geometry a bit smaller, but let's see what we've got. So I think it's that one there, and let's make it bigger. So you can see I've just got the main controller here. Just Control Z that. Okay, that's probably doing something like it. So let's have a look. Okay, my joints are huge. Let's make this smaller. Display animation joint size. Right, let's just pull that back a bit more, and it's fine. And I want to go to shading X-ray joints. Okay, so basically what we do is we just orientate these in the right places, and then press a button, and it does the whole thing for us. It's a beautiful thing. So first of all, it's the best kind of practice, I think, to get the root in the right place. And otherwise, you know, if you're doing a lot of stuff on the arm, then you realise you need to move the root down. It's kind of problematic. So I'm just going to actually take that and move that down a bit. Is that what I wanted to do? Yeah, I do really. It's really high. So that hip's in about the right place, as you can see. And so now I'm going to come into that one there. You can see there's that angle in the leg that I was talking about earlier. So there's a slight sort of angle from here to here. Let's actually move that forwards even more. And the foot looks pretty close-ish. Let's just move this around a little bit. It's got a bit of a twist in his foot there. Okay, they need to be over here. Oops. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's actually really low. Let's just pull that up a bit. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And now I'm going to take that one and take that. Okay, so the clavicle there needs to come up here and over, and the shoulder is going to come there. That looks good, and you can see that is a bit off, so I'm going to pull that across. That's looking like it's pretty good. Let's just pull that shoulder down a little bit. Okay, so again we've got that bend in the arm, which it automatically comes in with, which is really useful. So it's starting to get there. Let's just move that hand into position. Now, okay, so you can see that needs to come down. Okay, now you can actually spend, as you can imagine, a fair bit of time tweaking this into all the right positions. I'm not going to do it completely, but I mean I'll do sort of one of them and show you how to do it, and then I'll press the button and show you what you get at the back end of it, otherwise it's going to take me too long. So I'm just going to make these smaller again, because I can't really see what's going on. Okay, that's better. Okay, so you know, needless to say, that one goes on the end. This is the sort of you know, middle section, and that's the last joint. So there's something a bit unusual, and it has kind of like an extra sort of joint around there. Let's put that one to there, and that one comes something like that, and that goes towards the end. Oh, hello, that's all over the place. Right. Okay, so there we go. You can see now I'm sort of pressing this space bar a hell of a lot to navigate my way around. I really do recommend the script that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so that's that. And I'll just kind of brush this a little bit because it's a bit irresistible. Hopefully we'll get a sort of decent deformation through those as they are different as they're attached. Okay, right, let's just leave it like that, I think. Okay, now I'll probably spend a bit more time, obviously, just, you know, making that perfect, but it's probably taking too long and irrelevant. So let's just do the head a little bit. So that needs to be at the bottom of his chin, and the eye needs to hook up, which it looks like it's pretty close, and that goes to the top of the head, which is all pretty good actually. Let's just move that back a little bit. And it needs to go across it. There we go. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now we've got that. So what we do now is, what do we do now? Now we need to build it. So we literally just need to build it, and I think it's a case of selecting the. I can't remember now. I think you just select that one and you build it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can see it's built the skeleton, and it's got all the appropriate. I mean, even though it's got them by angles, obviously, the legs look like they're kind of slightly bent out, which is kind of interesting. So the pole vectors are out. You normally have those kind of like you know, facing in a bit more. You don't want his legs bending out too crazily. Okay, so that all looks good. And to put it together, I mean, I'll sort of show you the rig working here. There you go, like so. And then to mesh it together, to skin it together, we just need to take all the bones. So I'm going to go down into that main and then into the deformation system. Okay, so this is the chain that I was talking about earlier. So if I shift click that, we get all of the bones. Let's just go down. So I'm going to select all of the bones like so. And now I need to select the geometry as well. Now I think that last time when I just selected that word geometry there, it didn't get it. And it hasn't. So let's find all the geometry again. Is it that one there? Yes, it is. It is. So now I want. That's kind of chosen everything. I'm not certainly sure that I wanted all that. I think it's going to get all of it. Okay, let's just see what happens. Fundamentally, I was trying to select just the bones and just the geometry. It's kind of got some of the other bits in there, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so now to mesh it together, we just make sure that you're on the modeling tab. Let's just get rid of that. Sorry, the rigging tab, and go to skin, bind skin. And hopefully we've got it. Okay, so let's take him now and see what we got. That is curious. That's done something weird. Well, I'm going to. I should be able to just take that controller and. Okay, well, I think that's taking it off. Should be able to just take that controller and move them around. So something very strange has happened there. That's a bit frustrating. Okay, I'm going to take that and then. Let's try that and that. Band skin. Yes, I know I need to select the joints. Let's select all those joints. Okay, let's see what happens now if I just select these. Let's shift select that. This could be better. Right, I'm going to strip this back actually. Let me just pause the video, strip it back and see if I can just run through that once more. Okay, right, I figured it out. So we've got the stage here where I've just put it into position Okay, so to skin it all together, rather than kind of like, you know, faffing around selecting the bones there and selecting the mesh, which is kind of how you do it when you're building your own things. I kind of forgot. So if you when you've done that bit where you've put it all into position, we need to go to build and then just build an advanced skeleton. You don't need to select anything, it knows what it's doing, and then it'll do that. Okay, and then you can see here it's just, you know, the next drop down is the deform one. So we've done the build, and the next one down is the deform, and you can see there's various different options here, but the first one's always fine. So select your objects to deform, then select deform joints, and then you get into skinning of it. So I'm going to select the geometry, and then I'm going to select the deform joints. And if you click this here, set smooth bind options, it's the same basically as coming up here and going bind skin. Okay, if you do that, it just gives you different bind skin options, but you know, I tend to find that the default is fine. So that should have bound it now. So let's just choose one of these things. Okay, there we go. So he's all rigged up nicely. So you'll see there's various different kind of rigs. Sorry, different deforms here. So let's have a look. Oh, that one's doing something strange. I'll tell you why actually. It's quite interesting well, it's important to know this one. The reason why that hasn't locked in as an IK chain is because there's IK switches here. So here you can see it's got FK IK blend. So you click that and then move it across to 10, and do the same for that one there. And now you can see these boxes have appeared, and so that's your IK chain there. Okay, yeah, they're good rigs. I quite like them. You can see that there's a finger element going on here. Let's just I can't seem to close it. That's interesting. Let's just see what happens if I click that. There you go. Yeah. So you can see doing something there. I thought that you can. I think actually, yeah, you can't actually move it. It's just a case of taking these. So you can take those all there, and then right click, change the hand there. You know, that's pretty much it, I guess. Really, you've got the pole vectors, elbows and knees. That's your main route. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're good to go now. In terms of the picker, which is really useful, so you come up here. So you can see if I can just pick that one there, pick that one there. Yeah, do what I need to do with it. I wouldn't get, you know, I wouldn't necessarily use them all in the sense of all the spine. I, you know, tend to just sort of like try and stick to as many, basically stick to as many, as least controllers as you can. You want to keep your graph editor really clean. Okay. I think that's about it. There's various presets which you can do as well, which are really good fun. I guess I can quickly show you a bit of that. Let's see if I can do it. So there's tools, warp designer. Let's go start. Okay, there you go. Doing that, you can do, you know, there's all sorts of obviously different options that you can take. Just temp speed there. So I think you just press play there, and there you go. Yeah, and then you can just bake it onto the controllers. You know, so you're baking it into the graph editor there. Yeah, so there's a few of those. I mean, just try and do it yourself. You know, fundamentally you're going to get, you know, it depends on what you're doing. You know, use some of these shortcuts, but try and do it yourself, because it's important for you to learn the craft properly. All right, guys, super. Hope that's been useful.